But whilst I was looking for that, I kept coming across the phrases like master photographer and genius photographer, and statements like, they're so above other photographers and they're living. And I just think, what a lot of fucking shit. I know some photographers who will outmaster most of the masters, the supposed masters, but you've never heard of them. They got 30 followers on Instagram because they just take pictures for the love of doing it and the craft of doing it. So when I hear the regular names, some of the names, I mean, I'm going to slag anybody off, they're good photographers, but master photographer, come on. Most of the masters of photographers who are purported to be masters are so sucked into one genre or one area. Anybody, if you're doing something that niche for that many years, should become fucking good at it. And if you haven't, but master, I think the amount of master photographers that's purported to be across the world on all continents from all backgrounds is just bullshit. There are some photographers who have got more experience, who do what you call high level quality work that's repeatable, but masters, come on. So today I wanted to talk about that, and kind of I've kind of realised over the years that these kind of the people that live in that kind of terminology come into two categories. And before I get into that, I just wanted to talk about, I was reminded recently of a saying, those who can do and those who can't teach. And that makes my fucking teeth itch. It makes me want to grab whoever said it and shake them by the neck, because it's aimed at photographers and creatives, artists, fashion designers. It's aimed at people in the creative industries a lot. And also I've heard it spoken about motor mechanics and engineers, where there's some kind of, I guess it aligns with the master photographer. If you don't make it in the public eye as a photographer, then you've not attained true status and you must go off and teach. But it's a load of bollocks, because me as a teacher, I started teaching while I was still working as a full-time photographer, and I did it because I enjoyed doing it. I can't stop talking, you might have guessed. I can't stop telling people how to improve, learn new stuff. That's how I became a teacher. Not because I was crap at photography, not because I couldn't get any work as a photographer, but because I enjoyed doing it. And most people I've come across get into teaching for the same reasons. There's occasionally a little bit of, there's not a lot of freelance work in areas where they live, or there's not a lot of jobs in the areas where they live, so they diversify and become teachers. But they can only be fucking teachers because they were damn good at what they were doing in whatever walk of life it was. You can't really teach photography to the level that's expected, whether you're doing it as a tutor, freelance, or whether you're doing it in a college or a school or a particular university, and not know what the fuck you're talking about. So, winding back a bit, that saying of, those who can do and those who can't teach, just fuck off. Go look in the mirror, give yourself a good hard look, then slap yourself round the face and fuck off. Because most, if not all of the teachers I know, particularly in the creative arts, can fucking really do what they're doing. And that's why they're employed as teachers, and that's why they keep teaching for years, not because they can't do it, because the ones who can't do it get found out pretty fucking quickly. In fact, students are the best for finding out people who don't know what they're talking about. They will find you out, particularly college educated. In the UK, that's like 16 to 18s, and then university level, which is 18 upwards. Those kids, they'll find you out and crucify you. If you don't know what you're talking about, you're done in 5 minutes. So, aligning that with master photographers, most teachers I've come across, not just teachers as well, technicians, photography technicians, have to be fucking good. Otherwise, you're found out and you're done. So if you do hear anybody saying anything like that, anything derogatory about photographers, and they only teach because they can't do it, whoever said it, tell them to go and have a good look in the mirror, have a look at their own work, and then tell them to fuck off. So masters of photography, the myth. There's two schools, or two types of people. Am I saying that right? There's two kinds of people that I come across that live in that world, and they're the ones they're your regular photographer who's attained a certain level of success, maybe gets semi-regular publications, or even really regular publications, might have won the odd competition, gets a couple of front covers, suddenly touted as a master photographer. And more often than not, they're in a niche, they live in a little pocket. And then there's the other types, who are the ones who predominantly, I think, frequent internet forums and that kind of world where they spend their whole lives sucking up to the people who they see as being great geniuses, masters of photography, and spend their whole time trying to build everybody up to want to be like them, creating a little niche flow so everybody goes, oh, I want to be Steve McCurry, oh, I want to be Ansel Adams, oh, I want to be David Bailey. And they spend that much time trying to do that, they never achieve fuck all. They never get their own style. They're just photocopying, and becoming very stale and very boring and very mediocre and very samey. And it stops people trying to be themselves. And I've said this on other podcasts, that if you're not going to be yourself, why bother? I mean, it's one thing to be influenced by somebody, but it's another thing to want to be them. And I often think that actors must find it really difficult, because we all have our favourite actors, our favourite singers, our favourite everything. But as an actor, if you're inspired by someone as an actor, you've got to be very, very careful you don't start mimicking them. Imagine, I don't know, let's say I'm a big guy, I become an actor, I go to auditions and Jack Black's my favourite actor. I've got to be very careful not to start acting like Jack Black and having his mannerisms and his approach. And it's the same for photography. It's the same for any art form. I've said a million times in this podcast, David Bailey is probably my favourite photographer. And you can see in my work I've been influenced by him. In fact, I'm going to do a podcast probably next week about top 5 photographers that I think are the top 5 photographers, and Bailey will be in that. And you can see my influences from David Bailey in my work. But more than that, it's his approach that excites me. But I haven't become David Bailey. I haven't started talking with a Cockney accent. I haven't started being really harsh to people. I haven't started being too honest, although some people do say I'm quite honest. Every photograph I do, I'm not trying to make it look like a David Bailey photograph. I'm trying to make it look like a Lance Burkitt inspired by photograph. And all these two kind of sections of people, the suckers of the masters and the ones trying to get people to be like the masters, or you can't be any good unless you look like that, they would end up probably walking, talking, thinking, acting like David Bailey, because they think that's going to make them as popular. And inspiration shouldn't be about that. It shouldn't, should it? Inspiration should be everything from the visual to the buzz. And what I mean by that is, I did a photo shoot recently for a young local model called Liv, and we discussed beforehand what Liv wanted to do, and it was kind of like how can I phrase it? It was kind of like empowering females to be sexy without slutty, or sexy without glamour, just standard sexy kind of, jeans and bra shots, confident, independent women, that kind of shot. And I was kind of inspired a little bit here by Richard Avedon, and Avedon kind of creeps into my work quite a lot, because I was always influenced by how well he did stills that looked like they were moving. And I think that kind of energy you bring to a shot is difficult to attain, and to keep, to make it look like your own work, like you're not copying, but to make it feel like it was an Avedon inspired shot, is something I've tried to do in some of my work across the years. Not always, because I draw influences from many places,